When was the last time you invested your money? Do you feel confident about budgeting and tracking expenses and creating your financial goals? Does the topic of money make you happy and excited, or uncomfortable and nervous and make you want to squirm? The year was 2016. My dream of getting into one of the world's top business schools had become a reality. The few months leading up to that were intense and grueling. I had worked hard to put the best version of myself in my essays and my recommendation letters and my career story and my GMAT scores. And it had all finally paid off. I was admitted to the Wharton School's full-time MBA program. But literally 2 days after getting that acceptance call, it suddenly hit me. How was I going to pay for this? As you may know, the cost of an MBA course in the US is, well, not cheap. We're talking about 1.2 to 1.4 crores with academic and living expenses. And there's also the opportunity cost of giving up a salary. Basically, I had failed to plan for this large financial goal. I didn't want to take on an education loan to finance the whole thing because that would just destroy my dreams of starting a company post-business school. Long story short, I ended up borrowing from the future and liquidated my retirement savings, took on a small loan I knew I could pay off without any stress, and my family pitched in a little. But the stress of this dilemma and my failure to plan, despite having 7 years of work experience and earning a decent amount of money, stuck with me. A couple of years later, I graduated and I moved back to India to delve into this space a little more. Why don't more women take charge of their financial lives and their money? I soon realized I wasn't alone in some of these challenges. I interacted with over 500 women from various urban cities in the country and learned that 9 out of 10 women were in the same boat. We're independent, we're earning our own money. We are choosing to get married or not. But for some reason, our financial lives tend to take a backseat. And part of the reason is how financial services as an industry had been structured and designed over the last several decades. Let's do a deep dive into the life of a woman. A woman, on average, lives about 5 years more than her male peer. So chances are she will probably outlive her male partner if she has one. A woman tends to take more career breaks for events like having a child or taking care of elderly parents and so on. And her income patterns may look very different from those of a man. Healthcare costs for women are higher than those of men. Personal care costs are also higher. If you haven't heard of the pink tax, look it up. And if all of this wasn't enough, a woman also faces the gender pay gap at work, which is about 30% in India. This means for the exact same job, with the exact same qualification, a woman earns on average 30% less than her male peer. So the bottom line is that women have less money, need that money to last them longer, spend more on things like healthcare and personal care, and will most likely have to manage her money alone at some point in her life. Stereotypes around women and money don't help either. It's so common to hear that women are frivolous with their money and are impulsive shoppers and are just so bad with money. Or women are so risk averse, you know what, they should just stick to savings and not dive into investments. Some of this we heard growing up as kids. A lot of it is propagated by media and pop culture. But if you look at the lives of women, they are evolving rapidly. Women are fiercely ambitious. Women are chalking out their career paths. Women are prioritizing their goals and living independently. We're also witnessing landmark judgments as we speak around succession and inheritance laws. Women are adding about $5 trillion to the wealth pool globally every year and will be controlling an increasing amount of wealth in the years and decades to come. But this fiercely ambitious and independent woman is left out of financial services. Under a quarter of stock market investors in India are women. Under 12% of women make their own investment decisions independently. And even some of the new age fintech apps that we're seeing being built today in India have about 80+% of their user base is male. This is a problem. And the scarier part is that these numbers are probably highly inflated because it's also estimated that 2/3 of women's accounts are managed by men in their lives. And so I asked myself, what can we do to fix this massive gender money gap? The solution really lies in community-driven education, community-driven knowledge building, and community-driven confidence building in making and acting on various financial decisions. Let's look at the stories of Ayushi, Nisha, and Madhavi, 3 members of the BASIS community who are powering their journeys towards financial independence. Ayushi is a software professional. Her knowledge about savings and investing was restricted to fixed deposits and gold. Upon getting educated about more lucrative options, she felt more confident about growing her money for the long term. And having a community to discuss this with gave her even more confidence. She learned about term insurance and ended up purchasing it. She ended up increasing health insurance coverage for her parents and started to have more open money conversations with her husband. When women are financially plugged in, really, everyone benefits. For Nisha, the story was a little different. She faced a setback when she lost her job during the pandemic and realized she had very little saved up for an emergency. She joined the BASIS community and got more conscious about her savings and investing plans. And despite having to settle for a lower paying job, she started saving and investing more. And that's the power of community and of knowledge. For Madhavi, the conversations around investing started very early in her home. Her father would involve her and her younger sister when he used to decide how to invest his money. And even though a lot of these things went over her head at the time, when she was 12, it instilled that confidence as she forayed into her adult life. So here's what you can do. Find your tribe. Normalize conversations about money amongst women. The next time you meet up with your friends, talk about investing, talk about the markets, heck, even talk about your salaries, uninterrupted and uninhibited. Educate yourself, not like a degree course as a one-time thing and it's done, but more on an ongoing basis. Invest or spend at least about 20 to 30 minutes every week looking at not only your own finances, but also things that are happening in the ecosystem. Are there investment opportunities you can pursue? Are there new forms of insurance you could be looking at? And finally, take action. Inaction comes at a huge cost, and there is more risk to not acting than to taking that action. Invest your money, even if it's in small amounts. Build that credit history. We all know the magical effects of compounding your wealth. Get the right insurance. You don't want an emergency to bankrupt you. For the women who are watching, take control of your money. If you don't control your money, you really don't control your life. And you can't truly be independent without being financially independent. And for the men watching, do the same, but also encourage your sisters and your female friends and your moms and your peers and your partners to take control and have that autonomy for their money. Because when women are financially independent, everybody wins.